Hey gamers, it's Jag. So recently I've been seeing a lot of talk about heavy LMGs and the recoil, which I've also kind of been agreeing with because I've been playing a lot more heavy. I have about like 500 hours in medium. I am a medium main. I love my AKM with my life. I kind of agree that the recoil for the LMGs need to be reverted because it is kind of embarrassing how heavy has no really good medium to long range viability. Like, if we get a medium and a heavy, both at mid-range, that medium's gonna win because of the fact that the recoil is just easier than the heavy. And because also the Lewis gun, the recoil is just completely uncontrollable. Like, it is an uncontrollable mess, and even if you learn it and get, like, down the pattern when it goes swings left and right, the jitter on it is also just so bad that the point is just extremely inaccurate, and you're more worth just winch clawing them to you so you don't even get the recoil effects, but at that point you could just use the spear or the sledgehammer or the SA. So there's like genuinely no point in using the Lewis gun or the M60 because the M60 just feels like a fucking pea shooter. Let's be real here. The M60, I don't think I've seen anybody use the M60. That thing I think is one of the most unused heavy weapons besides the KS-23 and the heavy grenade launcher. I still think the heavy grenade launcher is still more used than the M60. But I really think they need to revert the Lewis gun change on the recoil. Like maybe make it less. Like take away maybe the swings to left and right. Like I think the gun would actually be pretty okay if they just took away the wild swing to the left and right and the right. Like the damage fall off is fine, the damage is fine, the fire rate's fine. Everything about the Lewis gun is okay. Like just make the recoil like less egregious and just completely delete the swings to left and right. Like it is just absurd that is even in the game. I think heavy would be in a good state. I think right now heavy is actually in a pretty okay state, honestly. I think heavy right now is pretty viable besides the fact if it goes medium to long range, which you just use your teammates to close the gap so you can just witch claw them and just use the SA and the spear or the sledgehammer, like I said. I also think they need to either need to buff the revolver's damage fall off, or they need to nerf the silence pistol's damage fall off. I saw that Reddit once, which is funny because, you know, Reddit moment. I saw that they were comparing the silence pistol, the V9S, and the revolver. And the V9S could one mag the farthest target on the firing range, while the revolver can't, which I think is a little bit absurd, because the silence pistol is meant to be more of an up-close weapon. That's like all Light's whole thing is pretty much up-close viability, right? It's like burst damage, it's hit and run. Its whole thing is burst damage. And it's kind of embarrassing that the revolver cannot do that. So I think they either A, need to buff the damage fall off on the revolver or nerf the silence pistol damage fall off so they're like more equal. But honestly, I think the better choice is just to buff the revolver damage fall off. I know why they did it because a lot of people were complaining. Definitely during the betas, they were complaining about the revolver being pretty much a pseudo sniper. I seriously think they just need to buff it. Like, not make it like completely broken, but they just need to make it so it can like one mag the back mannequin on the fire range. Like, it's embarrassing that it actually cannot one mag the back mannequin on the fire range. I think it's a little bit embarrassing. And I'm going to talk about throwing knives. Now, throwing knives... throwing knives. This is a touchy subject. I think throwing knives need a damage nerf. I think the velocity is fine. I think everything else is fine, actually. I think if they just nerfed it by, like, 4 damage or 5 damage, probably, I think it'd still be a very viable choice for lights, but not be, like, the rage-inducing will probably punt a child damage that makes everybody mauled. Like, I think it just needs to be nerfed by 5 damage. Everything else is fine. Like, they're totally okay. I loved the velocity change. I loved how the speed at which they get thrown at the same, like, thrown together. Like, that was good. They just need a damage nerf. Like, not even a big one. Like, 5, 6 damage. 10, I think, is a little bit too much, but 5 or 6 damage should be fine. Also, this might piss off a little bit of medium players, especially me being a medium player. They need to nerf the model 1887, or whatever the fuck the gun's called. They need to nerf it. Not like big, I'm not saying like huge, but they either need to... I saw, I always butcher his name. I say L Comet, but the guy that, you know, won the Twitch Rivals event, which we're not going to talk about because that was embarrassing to also watch. Good on him, though. Good on his team. Good on Gigs. But, I saw that he was saying he was saying that it needs a range nerf, or it needs a damage nerf. It was like, he was like, if you want to keep the range, you need to nerf the damage, but if you want to keep the damage, you need to nerf the range. Which I completely agree with. I think the model is definitely in a strong position. It is, I think, a little bit overtuned. I wouldn't say it's completely broken, it's just overtuned, and I think it does need to be nerfed a little bit, but not too egregious where it's not usable anymore. But I agree with L comment. I agree with him that it either needs a range nerf or a damage nerf, if you want to keep the range or if you want to keep the damage. But overall right now, I think the game is in a pretty, I think the gun are all in a pretty okay state, besides like the really egregious ones with the Lewis gun and the M60 and the model and the revolver. If they kind of fix that, I think all the guns would be in a pretty okay state. And yeah, this is my 2 cents. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if you guys think my opinions are completely fucking wrong and they should just nerf the fucking throwing knives to the ground or buff the fuck out of the AKM or some shit. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later, and peace out.